chapter 1, 2, and 3. I'll quickly summarize it and then we can start from chapter 4. So in chapter 1, Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadev Goswami that it seems like that the Supreme Personality of Godhead he is partial, he kills Daityas and for the sake of Indra, another demigod. And this question comes because in the Canto 6, there is a Vritasura Vadha, where Supreme Lord himself tells Indra to go to the Dichi and make the Vajra and through that kill Vritrasura. So due to that, this question Maharaj Parikshit asked. So we read in this chapter that Supreme Personality of the Shukla Goswami actually totally refute this argument. And he says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is friend and protector of everyone. The conditioned souls, they are infected by the three qualities of material nature. And that's why the duality arises, like enmity and friendship and attachment and detachment. However, Supreme Personality of Godhead has no such duality because he's above these three modes of material nature. Even the time is under his control. The time cannot control the activities of the Lord. And then Parikshit Maharaj further asks Sukadev Goswami that how come Shishupal, who was inimical towards Lord Krishna from the childhood and always blasphemed Lord Krishna, attained salvation in oneness with Krishna? To answer that, Sukadev Goswami narrates that the story of Jaya Vijaya in the Vaikuntha and how they did offenses at the feet of the devotees, the four Kumaras, and then they have to take birth as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha in Satyuga, Ravan and Kumbhakarna in next Yuga, and then Shishupal and Dantavakra at the end of the Dwapar Yuga. So then again, and then he explains that because this Shishupal, he was always thinking of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although in envy, he attained salvation. So anyone who is continuously thinking of the Lord, even in envy or fear or love, devotion, he attains salvation. However, the atheist who is not meditating on the Lord, he gives the example of King Vena. He blasphemed, but he did not get salvation, whereas Shishupal got the salvation. And then Parikshit Maharaj gets curious and said, how come there is enmity between Hiranyakashipu and his beloved son Prahlad Maharaj? How did Prahlad Maharaj become such a great devotee? And with this question, the chapter 2 started. And we read that when the Varahadev killed Hiranyakashipu, when the Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha's son and his brother Hiranyakashipu, they were very much aggrieved. Although Hiranyakashipu pacified his nephews and his mother and his brother's wife, talking philosophy, giving transcendental knowledge, but he himself blamed Lord Vishnu to kill his brother. We read that he gave the transcendental knowledge, saying that we are spirit soul, we are different than material world. And spirit soul is eternal, inadjustable, pure, all-pervading. And when it comes to the material, in the contact of material energy, the soul takes birth in higher or lower species of life. And then in different bodies, it has to suffer or enjoy. So in this way, he pacified his families, but he himself was in great anger, and he started, sinfully diminishing the religious activities of the people, disturbing the ritualistic ceremonies of peaceful sages and other inhabitants of the earth. And this way, the second chapter ended there. And then in the third chapter, we read that how Hiranyakashipu started doing the austerity. He entered the valley of Mandara mountain and started practicing severe type of austerity and meditation. So much so that the fire started coming blazing from his head. His whole body became just bones, and the ants had eaten all the flesh. And the fire coming from his head disturbed the entire universe. All inhabitants, birds, beasts, demigod, higher and lower planets became very hot to live in. So all the demigods, they went to Lord Brahma, praying to him and to curtail this unnecessary heat. And they also disclosed that Hiranyakashipu's ambition is to become immortal. So then Lord Brahma, with the sage Bhragu and other personality like Daksha, he came to see Hiranyakashipu. He sprinkled water from his kamandalu on Hiranyakashipu's head. So he got his body back. And then he asked for the benediction. And Hiranyakashipu asked that he don't want to be killed by any living entity, not any place, covered, uncovered, don't want to die daytime, not nighttime, by any weapon, land or in air, not to be killed by human being, animal, demigod, living, non-living. And he also asks for 8 yogic perfections, siddhis, like Anima and Laghima. And Lord Brahma gave this benediction. Now we will go to chapter 4 and we will start reading
Hare
there.
Krishna, Mataji. Mataji,
Yes,
last class we finished only 2 chapters, Mataji.
I thought we finished 3 chapters. Dear devotees?
Chapter 3 will start today.
We'll start. Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm mistaken. Then let's start with chapter 3. Thank you, Mataji. Oh, yeah. We just finished 2 chapter only. Yes. Because I was thinking in 4 class we will finish 8 chapter and then the Prahlad Maharaj's prayer will start. So, okay. Let's start with chapter 3. You can please take turn. Each one of us can read 5 verses and please continue reading.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I start?
Hare Krishna. Pranams to you, Mataji.
Pranams
Please
to
go.
Chapter 3, Hiranyakashipu's plan to become immortal. This chapter describes how Hiranyakashipu performed a severe type of austerity for material benefit, thus causing great distress throughout the universe. Even Lord Brahma, the chief personality within this universe, became somewhat disturbed and personally went to see why Hiranyakashipu was engaged in such a severe austerity. Hiranyakashipu wanted to become immortal. He wanted not to be conquered by anyone, not to be attacked by old age and disease, and not to be harassed by any opponent. Thus, he wanted to become the absolute ruler of the entire universe. With this desire, he entered the valley of Mandara mountain and began practicing a severe type of austerity and meditation. Seeing Hiranyakashipu engaged in this austerity, the demigods returned to their respective homes. But while Hiranyakashipu was thus engaged, a kind of fire began blazing from his head, disturbing the entire universe and its inhabitants, including the birds, beasts, and demigods. When all the higher and lower planets became too hot to live on, the demigods, being disturbed, left their abodes in the higher planets and went to see Lord Brahma, praying to him that he curtail this unnecessary heat. The demigods disclosed to Lord Brahma Hiranyakashipu's ambition to become immortal, overcoming his short duration of life, and to be the master of all the planetary systems, even Dhruvaloka. Upon hearing about the purpose of Hiranyakashipu's austere meditation, Lord Brahma, accompanied by the great sage Bhrigu and great personalities like Daksha, went to see Hiranyakashipu. He then sprinkled water from his kamandalu, a type of water pot, upon Hiranyakashipu's head. Hiranyakashipu, the king of Daityas, bowed down before Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe, offering respectful obeisances again and again, and offering prayers. When Lord Brahma agreed to give him benedictions, he prayed not to be killed by any living entity, not to be killed in any place, covered or uncovered, not to die in the daytime or at night, not to be killed by any weapon or land or in the air, and not to be killed by any human being, animal, demigod, or any other entity, living or non-living. He further prayed for supremacy over the entire universe and requested the 8 yogic perfections such as Anima and Lagima. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone would like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, my pranams to Mataji.
Thanks, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Text 1. Narada Muni said to Maharaj Yudhishthira, the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu wanted to be unconquerable and free from old age and dwindling of the body. He wanted to gain all the yogic perfections like Anima and Lagima, to be deathless and to be the only king of the entire universe, including Brahmaloka. Text 2. In the valley of Mandara hill, Hiranyakashipu began performing his austerities by standing with his toes on the ground, keeping his arms upward and looking toward the sky. This position was extremely difficult, but he accepted it as a means to attain perfection. Text 3. From the hair of Hiranyakashipu's head, there emanated an effulgent light as brilliant and intolerable as the rays of the sun at the time of dissolution. Seeing the performance of such austerity, penance, the demigods who had been wandering throughout the planets now returned to their respective homes. Text 4. Because of Hiranyakashipu's severe austerities, fire came from his head, and this fire and its smoke spread throughout the sky, encompassing the upper and lower planets, which all became extremely hot. Text 5. Because of the power of his severe austerities, all the rivers and oceans were agitated. The surface of the globe, with its mountains and islands, began trembling, and the stars and planets fell. All directions were ablaze. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Text 6.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranams.
Text 6. Scorched and extremely disturbed because of Hiranyakashipu's severe penances, all the demigods left the planets where they reside and went to the planet of Lord Brahma, where they informed the Creator as follows. O Lord of the demigods, O Master of the universe, because of the fire emanating from Hiranyakashipu's head as a result of his severe austerities, we have become so disturbed that we could not stay in our planets but have come to you. Text 7. O great person, chief of the universe, if you think it proper, kindly stop these disturbances, meant to destroy everything before all your obedient subjects are annihilated. Text 8. Hiranyakashipu has undertaken a most severe type of austerity. Although his plan is not unknown to you, kindly listen as we submit his intentions. Text 9 and 10. The Supreme Person within this universe, Lord Brahma, has gotten his exalted post by dint of severe austerities, mystic power, and trance. Consequently, after creating the universe, he has come to the most worshipable demigod within it. Since I am eternal and time is eternal, I shall endeavor for such austerity, mystic power, and trance for many, many births. And thus I shall occupy the same post occupied by Lord Brahma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Text 11.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Pranams, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Please go ahead.
By dint of my severe austerities, I shall reverse the results of pious and impious activities. I shall overturn all the established practices within this world. Even Dhruvaloka will be vanquished at the end of the millennium. Therefore, what is the use of it? I shall prefer to remain in the position of Brahma. O Lord, we have heard, text 12. O Lord, we have heard from reliable sources that in order to obtain your post, Hiranyakashipu is now engaged in severe austerity. You are the master of the three worlds. Please, without delay, take whatever steps you deem appropriate. Text 13. O Lord Brahma, your position within this universe is certainly most auspicious for everyone, especially the cows and brahmanas. Brahminical culture and the protection of cows can be increasingly glorified, and thus all kinds of material happiness, opulence, and good fortune will automatically increase. But unfortunately, if Hiranyakashipu occupies your seat, everything will be lost. Text 14. O king, being thus informed by the demigods, the most powerful Lord Brahma, accompanied by Bhrigu, Daksha, and other great sages, immediately started for the place where Hiranyakashipu was performing his penances and austerities. Text 15 to 16. Lord Brahma, who is carried by a swan airplane, at first could not see where Hiranyakashipu was, for Hiranyakashipu's body was covered by an anthill and by grass and bamboo sticks. Because Hiranyakashipu had been there for a long time, the ants had devoured his skin, fat, flesh, and blood. Then Lord Brahma and the demigods spotted him, resembling a cloud-covered sun, heating all the world by his austerity. Struck with wonder, Lord Brahma began to smile and then addressed him as follows. Text
Thank you.
17.
Anyone?
Lord Brahma said, O son of Kashyapa Muni, please get up, please get up. All good fortune unto you. You are now perfect in the performance of your austerities, and therefore I may give you a benediction. You may now ask from me whatever you desire, and I shall try to fulfill your wish. Text 18. I've been very much astonished to see your endurance. In spite of being eaten and bitten by all kinds of worms and ants, you are keeping your life air circulating within your bones. Certainly, this is wonderful. Text 19. Even saintly persons like Bhrigu, born previously, could not perform such severe austerities, nor will anyone in the future be able to do so. Who within these three worlds can sustain his life without even drinking water for 100 celestial years? Text 20. My dear son Diti, with your great determination and austerity, you have done what was impossible even for great saintly persons, and thus I have certainly been conquered by you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Text 21.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams to you. Pranams to
Pranams.
the devotees. O best of the asuras, for this reason I am now prepared to give you all benedictions according to your desire. I belong to the celestial world of demigods who do not die like human beings. Therefore, although you are subject to death, your audience with me will not go in vain. Text 22. Sri Narada Muni continued. After speaking these words to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Brahma, the original being of this universe, who is extremely powerful, sprinkled transcendental, infallible, spiritual water from his Kamandanu upon Hiranyakashipu's body, which had been eaten away by ants and moths. Thus he enlivened Hiranyakashipu. Text 23. As soon as he was sprinkled with the water from Lord Brahma's water pot, Hiranyakashipu arose, endowed with a full body, with limbs so strong that they could bear the sprinkling of a thunderbolt. With physical strength and a bodily luster resembling molten gold, he emerged from the anthill a completely young man, just as fire springs from fuel wood. Text 24. Seeing Lord Brahma present before him in the sky, carried by his swan aeroplane, Hiranyakashipu was extremely pleased. He immediately fell flat with his head on the ground and began to express his obligation to the Lord. Text 25. Then getting up from the ground and seeing Lord Brahma before him, the head of the Daityas was overwhelmed by jubilation. With tears in his eyes, his whole body shivering, he began praying in a humble mood with folded hands and faltering voice to satisfy Lord Brahma. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mata.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Text 26.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranams, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Text 26 and 27. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord within this universe. At the end of each day of his life, the universe is fully covered with dense darkness by the influence of time, and then again, during his next day, the self-effulgent Lord, by his own effulgence, manifests, maintains, and destroys the entire cosmic manifestation through the material energy, which is invested with the three modes of material nature. He, the Lord Brahma, is the shelter of those modes of nature, Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. Text 28. I offer my obeisances to the original personality within this universe, Lord Brahma, who is cognizant and who can apply his mind and realize intelligence in creating this cosmic manifestation. It is because of his activity that everything within the universe is visible. He is therefore the cause of all manifestations. Text 29. Your Lordship, being the origin of the life of this material world, is the master and controller of the living entities, both moving and stationary, and you inspire their consciousness. You maintain the mind and the acting and the knowledge acquiring senses, and therefore you are the great controller of all the material elements and their qualities, and you are the controller of all the desires. Text 30. My dear Lord, by your form as the Vedas personified and through knowledge relating to the activities of all the yajnik brahmanas, you spread the Vedic ritualistic ceremony of the seven kinds of sacrifices, headed by Agni Soma. Indeed, you inspire the yajnik brahmanas to perform the rituals mentioned in the three Vedas. Being the supreme soul, the super soul of all living entity, you are beginningless, endless, and omniscient, beyond the limits of time and space. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Text 31.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Text 31. O my Lord, your Lordship is eternally awake, seeing everything that happens. As eternal time, you reduce the duration of life for all living entities through your different paths, such as moments, seconds, minutes, and hours. Nonetheless, you are unchanged, resting in one place as the Supersoul, Witness and Supreme Lord, the birthless, all-pervading controller who is the cause of life for all living entities. Text 32. There is nothing separate from you, whether it be better or lower, stationary or moving. The knowledge derived from the Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and from all the sub-limbs of the original Vedic knowledge form your external body. You are Hiranyagarbha, the reservoir of the universe, but nonetheless, being situated as the supreme controller, you are transcendental to the material world, which consists of the three modes of material nature. Text 33. O my Lord, being changelessly situated in your own abode, You expand your universal form within this cosmic manifestation, thus appearing to taste the material world. Your Brahman, your Brahman, the super soul, the oldest, the personality of Godhead. Text 34. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who in his unlimited, unmanifested form has expanded the cosmic manifestation, the form of the totality of the universe. He possesses external and internal energies and the mixed energy called the marginal potency, which consists of all the living entities. Text 35. O my Lord, O best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. Text 36. Or you can read these two texts,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Sure. Okay. Text 36. Grant me that I do not die within any residence or outside any residence, during the daytime or at night, nor on the ground or in the sky. Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapon, nor by any human being or animal. Text 37, 38. Grant me that I not meet death from any entity, living or non-living. Grant me further that I not be killed by any demigod or demon or by any great snake from the lower planets. Since no one can kill you in the battlefield, you have no competitor. Therefore, grant me the benediction that I too may have no rival. Give me sole lordship over all the living entities and presiding deities, and give me all the glories obtained by that position. Furthermore, give me all the mystic powers attained by long austerities and the practice of yoga, for these cannot be lost at any time. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna, thank you. We will go to next chapter. Chapter 4. Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. Please go ahead and start reading. Or I can read this part. Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. This chapter fully describes how Hiranyakashipu obtained power from Lord Brahma and misused it by harassing all the living entities within this universe. By severe austerities, Hiranyakashipu satisfied Lord Brahma and obtained the benedictions he desired. After he received these benedictions, his body, which had been almost entirely consumed, was revived with full beauty and a luster like gold. Nonetheless, he continued to be envious of Lord Vishnu, unable to forget Lord Vishnu's having killed his brother. Hiranyakashipu conquered everyone in the 10 directions and the 3 worlds and brought all living entities, both demigods and asuras, under his control. Becoming the master of all places, including the residence of Indra, whom he had driven out, he began enjoying life in great luxury and thus became mad. All the demigods but Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva came under his control and began serving him. But despite all his material power, he was dissatisfied because he was always puffed up, proud of transgressing the Vedic regulations. All the Brahmanas were dissatisfied with him and they cursed him with determination. Eventually, all the living entities within the universe, represented by demigods and sages, prayed to the Supreme Lord for relief from Hiranyakashipu's rule. Lord Vishnu informed the demigods that they and the other living entities would be saved from the fearful conditions created by Hiranyakashipu. Since Hiranyakashipu was the oppressor of all the demigods, the followers of the Vedas, the cows, the Brahmanas, and the religious saintly persons, and since he was envious of the Supreme Lord, he would naturally be killed very soon. Hiranyakashipu's last exploit would be to torment his own son Prahlad, who was a Mahabhagavat, an exalted Vaishnava. Then his life would end. When the demigods were thus reassured by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everyone was satisfied, knowing that the miseries inflicted upon them by Hiranyakashipu would come to an end. Finally, Narad Muni describes the characteristics of Prahlad Maharaj, the son of Hiranyakashipu, and describes how his father envied his own qualified son. In this way, the chapter ends. Hare Krishna. We can take turn and start reading from text 1, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Renu. Please go ahead.
Narada Muni continued, Lord Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakashipu's austerities, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, when solicited for benedictions, he indeed granted them, although they were rarely to be achieved. Lord Brahma said, O Hiranyakashipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are difficult to obtain for most men. Nonetheless, O my son, I shall grant you them, although they are generally not available. Then Lord Brahma, who awards infallible benedictions, departed, being worshipped by the best of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, and being praised by great sages and saintly persons. The demon Hiranyakashipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma, and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother, and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, that great demon conquered all the planets in the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of the human beings, the Gandharvas, the Garudas, the great serpents, the Siddhas, the Charanas, and Vidyadharas, the great saints Yamaraja and Manus, the Yaksas, the Rakshasas, the Pisachas, and their masters, and the masters of the ghosts and Bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all the other planets where there are living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abodes of all, he seized their power and influenced. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else would like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Text
Namaste.
8. Hiranyakashipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven with his famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma and was as beautifully made as if the goddess of fortune of the entire universe resided there. Text 9 to 12. The steps of King Indra's residence were made of coral. The floor was bedecked with invaluable emeralds. The walls were of crystal, and the columns of Vaidurya stone. The wonderful canopies were beautifully decorated. The seats were bedecked with rubies, and the silk bedecked as white as foam was decorated with pearls. The ladies of the palace, who were blessed with beautiful teeth and the most wonderfully beautiful faces, walked here and there in the palace, their ankle bells tinkling melodiously and saw their own beautiful reflections in the gems. The demigods, however, being very much oppressed, had to bow down and offer obeisances at the feet of Hiranyakashipu, who chastised the demigods very severely and for no reason. Thus, Hiranyakashipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone. Text 13. O my dear king, Hiranyakashipu was always drunk on strong smelling wines and liquors, and therefore his coppery eyes were always rolling. Nonetheless, because he had powerfully executed great austerities in mystic yoga, although he was abominable, all but the three principal demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, personally worshipped him to please him by bringing him various presentations with their own hands. Text 14. O Maharaj Udhishthira, descendant of Pandu, by dint of his personal power, Hiranyakashipu, being situated on the throne of King Indra, controlled the inhabitants of all the other planets. The two Gandharvas, Vishwavasu and Tumburu, I myself, and the Vidyadharas, Apsaras, and the sages all offered prayers to him again and again just to glorify him. Text 15. Being worshipped by sacrifices offered with great gifts by those who strictly followed the principles of Varna and Ashrama, Hiranyakasipu, instead of offering shares of the oblations to the demigods, accepted them himself. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Text 16.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Text 16. As if in fear of Hiranyakashipu, the planet Earth, which consists of 7 islands, delivered food grains without being plowed. Thus it resembled cows like the Surabhi of the spiritual world or the Kamadugha of heaven. The earth yielded sufficient food grains, the cows supplied abundant milk, and outer space was beautifully decorated with wonderful phenomena. Text 17. By the flowing of their waves, the various oceans of the universe, along with their tributaries, the rivers, which are compared to their wives, supplied various kinds of gems and jewels like for Hiranyakashipu's use. These oceans were the oceans of salt water, sugarcane juice, wine, clarified butter, milk, yogurt, and sweet water. Text 18. The valleys between the mountains became fields of pleasure for Hiranyakashipu, by whose influence all the trees and plants produced fruits and flowers profusely in all seasons. The qualities of pouring water, drying, and burning, which are all qualities of the three departmental heads of the universe, namely Indra, Vayu, and Agni, were all directed by Hiranyakashipu alone, without assistance from the demigods. Text 19. In spite of achieving the power to control in all directions, and in spite of enjoying all types of bare sense gratification as much as possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. Text 20. Hiranyakashipu thus passed a long time being very much proud of his opulences and transgressing the laws and regulations mentioned in the authoritative Shastras. He was therefore subjected to a curse by the 4 Kumaras who were great Brahmanas. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you. Text 21.
Everyone, including the rulers of the various planets, was extremely distressed because of the severe punishment inflicted upon them by Hiranyakashipu. Fearful and disturbed, unable to find any other shelter, that they at last surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated, where those purified souls in the renounced order of life, the great saintly persons, go, and from which having gone, they never return. Without sleep, fully controlling their minds and living on only their breath, the predominating deities of the various planets began worshipping Rishikesha with this meditation. Text 24. Then there appeared before them a transcendental sound vibration emanating from a personality not visible to material eyes. The voice was as grave as the sound of a cloud, and it was very encouraging, driving all away all fear. Text 25 and 26. The voice of the Lord vibrated as follows: One best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you. Become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benedictions to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Veda. Text 27.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
When one is envious of the demigods who represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead of the Vedas, which give all knowledge of the cows, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and religious principles, and ultimately of me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. Text 28. When Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlada, his own son, who is peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benedictions of Brahma. Text 29. The great saint Narada Muni continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master of everyone, does reassure all the demigods living in the heavenly planets, they offered their respectful obeisances unto him and returned, confident that the demon Hiranyakashipu was now practically dead. Text 30. Hiranyakashipu had 4 wonderful, well-qualified sons, of whom the one named Prahlada was the best. Indeed, Prahlada was a reservoir of all transcendental qualities, because he was an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Text 31.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Text
Namaste, Mataji.
31 and 32. The qualities of Maharaj Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakasipu, are described herewith. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmana, having very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. He had full control of his senses and mind. Like the super soul, he was kind to every living entity and was the best friend of everyone. To respectable persons, he acted exactly like a menial servant. To the poor, he was like a father. To his equals, he was at least like a sympathetic brother. And he considered his teachers, spiritual masters, and old god brothers to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from unnatural pride that might have arisen from his good education, riches, beauty, aristocracy, and so on. Text 33. Although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of Asuras, he himself was not an Asura, but a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Unlike the other Asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. He was not agitated when put into danger, and he was neither directly or indirectly interested in the fugitive activities described in Vedas. Indeed, he considered everything material to be useless, and therefore he was completely devoid of material desires. He always controlled his senses and life air, and being of steady intelligence and determination, he subdued all lusty desires. Text 34. O King, Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas. As all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they also exist forever in his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Text 35. In any assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, O King Yudhishthira, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would cite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a great devotee. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Text 36.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can I read, please?
Yes, sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Pronounced to you.
Text
Please go.
36. I'm sorry I get late joined, okay?
No
Who lists the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service, although his good qualities cannot be enumerated. They prove that he was a great soul, Mahatma. Text 37. From the very beginning of the childhood, Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in childish playthings. Indeed, he gave them up, although together, and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness. He could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. Text 38. Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, thus being always embraced by the Lord. He did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed. Text 39. Because of such attachment, because of advancement in Krishna consciousness, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes expressed jubilation, and sometimes sang loudly. Last text 40. Sometime upon seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prahlad Maharaja would loudly call in full anxiety. He sometimes lost his silence in a jubilation and began dancing in ecstasy. And sometimes, being fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, he felt oneness and imitated the pastime of the Lord. Thank you, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Text 41.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Mataji. Please go ahead.
That's okay, Prabhuji, you can go ahead.
Text 41. Sometimes feeling the touch of the Lord's lotus hands, he became spiritually jubilant and remained silent, his hair standing on end and tears gliding down from his half-closed eyes because of his love for the Lord. Because of his text 42, because of his association with perfect, unalloyed devotees who had nothing to do with anything material, Prahlad Maharaj constantly engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet. By seeing his bodily features when he was in perfect ecstasy, persons very poor in spiritual understanding became purified. In other words, Prahlad Maharaj bestowed upon them transcendental bliss. Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'll pause here. You can continue, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Text 43. My dear King Yudhishthira, the demon Hiranyakashipu tormented this exalted, fortunate devotee, although Prahalada was his own son. Text 44. Maharaja Yudhishthira said, O best of the saints among the demigods, O best of spiritual leaders, how did Hiranyakashipu give so much trouble to Prahlad Maharaja, the pure and exalted saint? Although Prahlada was his own son, I wish to know about this subject from you. Text 45. A father and mother are always affectionate to their children. When the children are disobedient, the parents chastise them, not due to enmity, but only for the child's instruction and welfare. How did Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, chastise such a noble son? This is what I am eager to know. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
There is one more, Mataji. You can read that.
Okay. Yeah, sure, Mataji. Text 46. Maharaj Yudhishthira further inquired, how was it possible for a father to be so violent toward an exalted son who was obedient, well-behaved, and respectful to his father? O Brahmana, O Master, I have never heard of such a contradiction as an affectionate father punishing his noble son with the intention of killing him. Kindly dissipate our doubts in this regard. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, we will pause our reading here and then we'll start next chapter 5 on next time. Please go ahead and share your comments, reflection, realization, take-home points, or summary, or anything you liked. Please go ahead and share.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
So,
Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, the two takeaways for me from these two chapters basically are like how from chapter 3 we understand that envy is so powerful, like in a negative way. Hiranyakashipu was so much envious of Lord Vishnu that he performed such severe austerities. He harmed himself, and then while performing these austerities, he was harming the universe as well. So his enmity led him to such a state of misery for himself, but still he wanted to do it, wanted to continue it, just because to take revenge from Lord Vishnu. So it shows how enmity can lead to destruction of oneself, which we will see in further lessons as well. And we see how he was giving lessons or learnings and teachings to his relatives, having the transcendental knowledge. But in spite of that transcendental knowledge, he was bound by, or he was under the influence of envy, which led to so much of austerities and then gaining powers by Brahma. And then in the chapter 4, I think after he performed the austerities, he got the power from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma gave him several boons. But again, as we see, the power, when we get the power, one becomes more responsible. But here, Hiranyakashipu misutilized his power. He tried again to harm everyone. He was oppressing everyone. So his power again led to his pride, and the pride and power which he is showing now, which will lead to his destruction, and which we'll see in further chapters. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for sharing it.